Hi, my name is George, and I'm going to tell you how I realised too late that I lost the love of my life. 11 years ago, I met Martha in college. I know it sounds cliche, but it was really love at first sight. When I saw her, I was captivated by her expressive look and her charming smile. She was in the nursing school, and I was studying finance. We started an amazing relationship. She completed me in so many ways, and I completed her in the same way. The time went by wonderfully. I knew her family, and she felt part of mine too. After 3 years together, we decided it was time for us to get married and live together once again. Everything was going well from the beginning. We formed a great team. She was an excellent cook and loved keeping order in the home. I got a part-time job, and even though there was no money left over, we lived comfortably while we both finished our respective careers. Besides, from the very beginning, we were always very attentive to each other. She liked flowers, so I bought her a bouquet every chance I got. We also went out for romantic dinners once a month. After the graduation of both, Martha started working in the biggest hospital in the city. Her working hours were long and exhausting. In turn, I started working in a large finance company, where according to my skills, with time and experience, I could move up and get a better pay. Our day-to-day went smoothly. Martha and I shared as much time as possible. Since the hospital and the company weren't very far away, she came to have lunch with me every day. So we got to share more time together, and in the evenings, we liked to watch shows or watch movies before we rested. Time went by and work started to get harder for me. I got promotions and improved my salary, but for that I had to spend more time in the office and in meetings after work. I had to please the boss besides doing my job right to secure my future as a result. I started to put my job first every night, and the boss had different types of plans that almost always started in business conversations and ended in a party. As the months went by, I got used to the lifestyle, party, money, and often women. But for me, that was okay since I had committed to get to the top of the company, and that seemed like the right way. Surrounding myself with friendship of colleagues and bosses because it was all about my future, about improving life for Martha and me. And while all of this was happening, I started noticing changes in Martha. Her attitude was different, and she always complained about my routine. She didn't cook the same and didn't seem as joyful as before. I thought it was a phase, women stuff, besides the tiredness of her work, and I didn't worry about finding out what was going on. After a few months, I managed to reach the position for which I had waited so long. It was something important. My great desire finally materialized, and since it was something important, that night I went partying with my colleagues, my great friends. We celebrated in style. Between drinks and music, I got involved with another woman. I felt at the top of the world. I deserved the best, and I shouldn't feel bad about it. Besides, the next day I'll be with my wife, who would never find out about anything, and everything would stay the same. It was 3 a.m. and I got home, but I didn't remember much. I was a little drunk. The next day, I woke up on the living room couch. I was at home. I had a pounding headache and was confused. Little by little, I remembered what had happened. Of course, my new position, I told myself. I went to the kitchen to see what we had for breakfast, as usual, at home. When I arrived after the party, but to my surprise, there was nothing there. Confused, I went to the room to see why Martha didn't have any food ready. When I went in, I found the bed empty, and the whole house. There was no trace of her. At one point, I was afraid to open the closet, and just as I thought about it, I saw how all her things were missing. She was gone. Martha had left me. My first reaction was confusion and anger at the same time. Why did she do it? What did I do wrong? I always thought that I did things right, that I simply fought for what I wanted, and to give us a better future, and there was nothing wrong with that. I mean, all my friends and colleagues are the same. After some thinking, I decided to take it easy. At some point, she would realize her mistake and come home to apologize for her foolishness of leaving me. After all, I was her husband. What was she thinking? She had to support me since she knew how much I wanted to go far in the company. 1, 2, and 3 weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything about Martha. I began to get impatient. I felt that something was missing, and decided to pick her up after work at the hospital. I waited in the car and saw her leave. She was wearing her nice uniform, talking to her colleagues, laughing. To be honest, I couldn't remember the last time I appreciated her beautiful smile at home. But I quickly reacted. Hey, she owes me an explanation, I thought. I got out the car and called her name. Martha! She turned quickly, lowered her head, and said goodbye to her colleagues. She came walking slowly towards me and asked me to go to the small cafe next to the hospital to talk. We sat down and she asked me how I was. Her voice seemed very confident. It didn't sound like the voice of a person who was regretful about anything. I told her I got the position I wanted so badly, and she congratulated me. I asked her what had happened, to give me an explanation as to why she left the house and when she planned to return. She told me she wasn't planning to return and that this decision had taken her a long time, but she was now happier and it was the best thing for both of us, and all that was left to do was to file for divorce. I didn't understand why she was saying that. Divorce? I asked her. She said yes, that it wasn't the same anymore, that she got tired of waiting in for me, that seeing her take a back seat in my life was very difficult, and even though she tried, she couldn't keep our relationship. Not mentioning she found out about the times I cheated on her and the excessive spending on parties and alcohol. It was too much for her and she didn't want to live that way anymore. As she was saying all of this, I could see a deep sadness in her eyes. I couldn't believe it. I asked her why she hadn't talked to me about fixing things, that if she had said anything, we could have solved it in time. I wasn't expecting her answer. She said, "I always loved you, but you never listened to me." That phrase resonated in my head. I began to remember how every time she came home from work, she tried to talk to me, to tell me about her day. But I interrupted her and said, "Tomorrow we'll talk. Today, I'm very tired." Each time she tried to spend a different moment with me, watching a movie or inviting me to a dinner at some nice restaurant. I would tell her that we would do it later and that I didn't have time. Even on special occasions like anniversaries and her birthday, I was just spending time in front of the PC or on my cell phone. I asked her to forgive me, to give me another chance, and I will do my best because I loved her so much, and if she returned to my side, things would be different. But in her eyes, I saw her decision had already been made, and in short, I had lost her. Martha told me that it was getting late and she had to go back home, and that she would get in touch with me that week to sign the divorce papers, and that she wished me the best of luck. She said goodbye and hugged me. I smelled her perfume, and I felt part of my life got away. I didn't know what else to say. I was left thinking that splitting up was indeed the best thing for her, that she could now seek the happiness that for years I could not give her because of my ambition and unconsciousness. The months have passed and there is nothing I regret more in my life than having pushed away the woman of my life.